Another legacy Marvel character may be about to come bubbling to the surface of the MCU. A scene early in Avengers Endgame seems like it could be a hidden tease for the impending arrival of Namor the Submariner, one of Marvel's oldest characters. An anti-hero with an 80-year publication history, Namor has served as both a nemesis and an ally to a laundry list of iconic Marvel heroes. Spoilers for Avengers Endgame to follow, obviously. Fans have long wondered whether Namor the Submariner would ever make an appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Endgame may have actually given us our answer. Kind of. During the scene in question, Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff is convening a holographic council of heroes who are scattered after the 5-year jump. One of the participants is Okoye, who appears to be holding Wakanda together in the absence of the dusted King T'Challa. She reports seismic activity on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean under the African plate, which apparently falls under Wakanda's jurisdiction. When asked by Romanoff how she intends to handle it, Okoye says, "It's an earthquake under the ocean. We handle it by not handling it." At first it seems like a throwaway line, but if we know Marvel, it was included for a purpose. And we have a couple key pieces of evidence to back up our assertion. The fact that the disturbance was reported by Okoye is telling, as Wakanda and Atlantis have a bit of a history in the comics. That is to say, they don't get along, and have actually gone to war on more than one occasion. Not only that, in the second issue of the original Infinity Gauntlet miniseries, an undersea earthquake occurs in the wake of Thanos' snap, and none other than Namor the Submariner is on hand to investigate. More importantly than all that, though, is the fact that Marvel Studios is well known for planting seeds, which suggests the possibility of characters that might come up into play down the line. And this particular seed was not the first one that's been planted in the MCU concerning Namor. Way back in 2010's Iron Man 2, there was a scene in which Nick Fury and Tony Stark discussed tentative plans to scout for the team that would soon become the Avengers. During their conversation, Fury was referring to a series of holographic screens, many of which depicted events from the past and the future in the MCU. But one screen was simply a world map which showed various hotspots around the globe which had garnered the interest of S.H.I.E.L.D., and one of those hotspots happened to be located smack in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Of course, it's almost certain that at the time that particular Easter egg was dropped, nobody had any idea whether Namor would ever come into play in the MCU. But the inclusion of Okoye's report in Avengers Endgame suggests that Marvel Studios might have kept the character in mind this entire time, and that they may now be prepping us for his formal introduction. Speaking of introductions, Namor first appeared in Motion Picture Funny's Weekly #1, a promotional publication handed out to movie theaters all the way back in April 1939. This book was, in fact, the very first to ever be published by the company that would later become Marvel Comics, making Namor not just a legacy character, but the legacy character. Namor's origin story and characteristics are quite similar to that of DC's Aquaman, who wouldn't appear until November of 1941. The half-human son of an Atlantean princess, he's a prince and later king of that underwater realm whose mistrust of the surface world runs deep. He's super strong, super tough, and yes, he can also communicate with marine life. So yeah, in all ways that matter, he's basically the original Aquaman. But this guy can fly.
That was the worst pep talk ever.
Given the huge success Warner Bros. Saw with Aquaman, it wouldn't be a huge stretch for Marvel Studios to try and show their superheroic rivals their own take on an undersea adventure. Meanwhile, with the death of Iron Man, the retirement of Captain America, and the departure of Thor for space with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel still needs some action to go down on Earth. What better character to bring onto the scene than their original super guy, Namor? Not only that, but Marvel finally has access to the Fantastic Four now that Disney has acquired 20th Century Fox. Considering Namor's deep ties to the FF in the comics, the time might finally be right for Marvel's Undersea King to show the surface world who's boss. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about Avengers Endgame are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.